size would be $88 billion. If I go back and if I check 2023, India would be $56 billion out of that $88 billion. So basically, guys, I'm talking about just a rough math, a ballpark would be 65% of what I was mentioning about the Southeast Asia's size of the e-commerce market. So that's the reason they went to India in 2012. So if that's the case, then what happened? Amazon went to India, it's Amazon.in, and it started its initial investment in February 2012, and it continued right after that as well. The official launch happened in June 5, 2013. How to successfully operate in an emerging economy? I know, I at least remember someone out at that room was talking about hostage analysis. I was mentioning to you guys that at the end of the day, it's not very easy, however you think. You cannot really take the Western ideas, the Western constructs, and impose that in the Oriental ideas. That's very difficult. There can be a little conflict between doing something like that. I sometimes find that to understand the Western ideas and just to implement those ideas in a top-down approach sometimes can do what is can bring the idea of ethnocentricity, where you think, hey, that's the idea, that's what it should be, and you cannot really challenge that idea whatsoever. I think, on the other hand, if we understand the indigenous culture of a country and go there, then probably there is a better chance to make success in that country. So I'll just talk about how Hofstede, and Hofstede is, I'm sure, well-known anthropologist, 4 dimensions, which is power distance and individualistic, collectivistic, uncertainty avoidance, and masculinity and femininity, can help in this regard. I'll just give you the cultural scores for India. The cultural scores are something like this. I presented it somewhere else in China, so I had India, US, China. I'm just skipping that one. I'm going to India. High power distance. Power distance is 77. So that's high power distance. You have individualistic and collectivistic. India is more or less a collectivistic culture. So its individualistic score is 48. Low uncertainty avoidance. Indians can take risk. And that's something very different than if I compare India with Greece. In Greece, it would be very challenging because it's a very high uncertainty avoidance country. So probably to grow e-commerce and to bring in $5 billion and set up a unit would be a challenging task in Greece, not in India. Masculinity is 56, which is, as you can see, above the median to begin with. So what we can see from here is you have to capture power distance. Indians do understand or do like the idea of power distance. However you like it or not, that's how the Indian culture is in terms of the national culture of India, that's what it is. So you have to understand the power distance and exploit that if you are the US multinational. So senior staff allocated in the front and center, that's something that Indians do like because then they can talk to the senior staff. So focused on building and maintaining relationships due to collectivism, use common language which was used, they use something called a chai cart, and chai is tea. So chai cart which actually moved to all remote villages in India and introduced Amazon to them, so that the small vendors in these villages, in this rural, in these semi-urban areas, they don't feel threatened because of this huge big multinational coming in. In fact, they became part of Amazon, which is the big help that happened. Low uncertainty avoidance, which would help with e-commerce, as I was mentioning before, and understanding masculinity, where small business owners, which are again the semi-urban small business owners, they were not given competition because of the presence of Amazon. Instead, what happened? Amazon integrated them. They brought them in, and Amazon became a marketplace from where they can actually sell their products. So Amazon is not the big retailer which actually is taking away your jobs. Instead, Amazon is the one which is giving you the platform to have your business, to conduct your business. And I'll just show you the model that I was creating on this one is marketing, localization, and that would give you the market share, investment, $5 billion invested in the Indian market already, and the logistics. The logistics is an important criteria about in any country, particularly India. Again, it's a very diverse country, geographically diverse, overly populated. You need to make sure that you are delivering the goods in 2 days as you promised. And that's a challenging task. So investment, net investment over $5 billion, marketing, use of billboards, sales and lotteries to draw customers, localization, I was mentioning chai carts to get local businesses online, logistics partnering with mom and pop shops which are there actually to reach the semi-urban or the rural areas. I'll show you a picture. Do you know this guy? Or it's very difficult from here to see.
Prime Minister.
No, this is Jeff Bezos. This is the CEO of Amazon. And this is a picture. This is an Indian truck, and this kind of shows what was the first cultural construct I talked about. The first cultural construct I talked about is power distance. So if you see the topmost person of the Amazon ladder is part of this business in India, you would find there is a connection. You would see, okay, the topmost person is interested in doing business in India, which should ensure that Amazon would be trustworthy. That's the most important point I'm trying to create, okay? So that's why this picture, guys. And I was mentioning this model, localization, empowerment of the middle level managers, which is required to ensure power distance, customization so that it can reach to everyone, and distribution, which is logistics. Customization, I'll talk about it a little bit. Again, India is predominantly a poor country. So if you have credit card system, which Indian government tried with something called demonetization, and there are many people who are against and who are favor of it. Anyways, if you try something like an e-commerce electronic system, that would be a challenging task. Instead, what you can do is you can have cash on delivery. So what happens is if you go to, if you buy an Amazon good and it will come back to your doorstep and you can pay cash at that point in time. That's called customization in my view. So what Amazon did in India, Amazon couldn't do in China, and that's the reason I'm mentioning Amazon learned its lesson. Established American practices that will not work in China. Lack of customization to locals, which didn't work in China. Limited offerings in Kindle store when launched didn't work, and lack of cloud service. Whereas localized double fulfillment capacity offered unique payment offerings as cash on delivery, customized products to local markets, and heavy marketing to reach first-time buyers. Everything what they failed to do in China, they ensured that they are doing in India. I don't have anyone else to actually limit my presentation, so how am I going? I've taken how much time? Okay, I need to quick. I need to be quick on this one. Amazon India, Amazon and Apple. Apple didn't work out well in India. That's the reason I had put Apple out there. There is a big competitor out there, which is an Indian company. The rest of it, forget about it. Flipkart is an Indian company, and that's a big competition. And I'll talk about Flipkart a little bit because that will give them competition for sure. Amazon is investment capability innovator in India, largest producer, largest product listing at 65 million products. Whereas Flipkart is Indian origin, relies on investors, and the product listing is at 40 million. However, they have a slightly larger market share. Let me just tell you that the market share that Flipkart has right now is 32% and Amazon is 31%. So Amazon is catching up, pretty sure. But as you can see, there is another big fish who is trying to get into India, and the big fish is trying to buy some stake in Flipkart. If the big fish Walmart can buy some stake in Flipkart, that would be challenging because then both these big players will go to India. I think that would be good for the poor economy, for the poor population, because they have to compete to reduce the price at the end of the day. So that's it basically. I'm talking about a successful business case, and I'm done on this one.